Hey, Tom here, Flip Anything USA. Thought I'd do another impromptu broadcast here. I missed last week's because I was on vacation. Didn't get to knock one out Wednesday. And I've had a couple events here today that kind of remind me of kind of some teachable moments. One right now, actually. So I thought I'd start talking about that and try to filibuster a little bit here till we get more people watching, because I know I'm getting my computer up right now. But there you go. So make that screen big, son, so I can see questions. Or will I see it? Let me see here. Sorry, getting dialed in, guys. So, hey, howdy. So, reason I fired this up is one of my larger properties, commercial center. I've got a commercial center where it was the first phase, and then there's a second phase, which is another building of equal size. Well, when these were built back in the early 80s, there was both of them are inadequately furnished with parking, to be quite honest. And so what I was going to get at with this video is you can react too harshly and too quickly on just a number of things that can come up. And so I want to talk to you about that because I've made the mistakes before, and I actually have the person reacted too strongly with me, to be honest. And rather than come back and clobber them, I have a discussion with them. But I'll tell you a little bit about that too. And this actually involves parking. And because sometimes as a landlord you get upset, and you can have people towed, right? Well, I know not everybody's got the same kind of money, and you get hit with a $350 tow fee. Some people can just write a check and be angry. Other people, it's devastating. It's almost a whole week's income for some folks. And so I'm aware of that, and I don't ever like to hurt anybody quite like that ever, unless they're just really a scofflaw on my property. But so what happened was I've got phase one, where I've got a restaurant, I've got a bar, I've got a dry cleaners, I've got antique shop, I've got a clothing store, I've got a nail salon, and something else, I think. And then the second phase, the property guy next door to me, same size building, he's got a Domino's and a wing store and a big bar that recently moved in. He's also got a little Chevron gas station down at the end and a liquor store. Both got great tenants. So this new bar of his took the last space that was available in his property. And like most bars, if you don't know the bar business, what happens is a brand new bar just kind of sucks all the business out of the area from all the other bars. Their grand opening, everybody wants to see the new bar, and usually they got deals going, and so they get a lot more of a crowd. So this was expected. Well, these guys had their grand opening, and now the parking is just jam-packed. And because there was parking issues on my property and this other property years ago, and the developer, the parking was kind of inadequate on both. So what they ended up settling up on was that they have a cross parking agreement. So my property and the other property have an existing, this thing is deeded. It's written in stone that I can have up to 10 customers park in his parking, and he can have up to 10 customers or something like that park on my property. So this kind of resolved it that way, because there's like maybe there's a lunch rush over here, and then maybe there's a different kind of rush on another property, but it allows customers to park on each other's side. And it's almost impossible to calculate, to be quite honest, and it probably does get abused by my side, probably more mine park on his at times, and sometimes maybe on the other way at other times too. So here's the issue. He started having cars towed by employees, primarily people that are on my side of the parking, or people that are going to my tenants that are parking on his side. He started towing them. And so I called him. I said, hey, listen, man, I don't think you can do that. And I don't think you want to do that, because right now, whenever this cross parking agreement was created, you had about 20 extra parking spots. I had 20 extra parking spots. Because what he started to do is he started allowing stores to reserve parking in front of their stores. And so the issue with that is, I'm coming to the table with 20 parking spots that he's allowed to use, that are available. He has 20, but if he takes away 10 of them by reserving them, now he's only coming to the table with 10. And then to make matters worse, he's towing people that are, potentially even customers that are coming over on my side. So I told him, I said, hey, this is way too harsh. It's going to really upset and piss off people. And I said, and ultimately, it's going to fall on me to enforce this thing and challenge you and take you to court. And I don't want to do that. I wasn't threatening a lawsuit at this point. I've been very casual and just talking about why neither of us should do this, or really can do this, I don't think, legally. And, but, if I was younger, or more angry or inexperienced, I'd probably start towing his cars, or customers that from his stores that are on my side. I'd tow them. Just kind of a way to respond back in a retaliatory way. But don't do it. And I'm not doing it. And I told him, I said, I want to do like retaliatory towing. And so he listened to me, and he's going to try working it out. But it just seems like a teachable moment, because I remember when something like that would have really upset me at one time, and I'd like, fine, I'll tow theirs. And then it just makes things blow up, and then it gets worse. So I also had a similar situation. I had people abusing stuff at a apartment building that I had, and I almost got in a fist fight one day with a couple guys. And anyways, fortunately it didn't happen. But those kind of things can happen if you push it. If you damage people, and towing people, it damages them. If a guy's only making $500 a week, and you take $300 out of his paycheck just to get his car back, that hurts. That hurts. So that's all I was going to say. Really, the gist of this is take time when somebody does, even if you feel offended. Take time. Go talk to the opposing party, and just try to talk it out and figure it out. And sometimes it's hard. People get excited. I had a tenant screaming at my guys, my AC guy, and some other workers that work for me, because her AC wasn't working. And I texted her. I said, hey, listen, things break. And she's threatening, oh, I'm gonna charge you for, not to me, but she said it to the other workers, that I'm gonna make Tom pay for, I'm gonna send everybody home and make Tom pay, my payroll, and which she can't do that either. But she could try, but she can't. It's in the lease. There's things, act of God's, things happen like this, things do break down. And, but you get it fixed right away, and that's what I always try to do. And as soon as I got her cool again, she was fine. But what I would say is that don't react too harshly right away when you get in these jams and these situations. I really want to tell you, it's just better to listen and not react, because you react too quickly, you'll get yourself in a lawsuit. And it can be a big deal sometimes. You can really get yourself into a mess, or and even if you have more money than the other side, sure, you can go teach them a lesson, and but you don't want to do that either. It's just a waste of resources, and it just makes hard feelings where you don't need to do that. So that's what I would say, is just really take time to listen. Because you'd be surprised what you learn. As I say, there's two sides. Each person's got their own points, and if you take time to listen, there's two sides to every argument. So that's what I would also leave you with on that note. So what else is up? Has anybody got anything going or making any money? I'm trying to look at some of the questions here. Great. I see Dakota, Carol, glad to have you. A couple others here. Thanks. I'm glad you're watching. So anyways, I've got a new video coming out. I was on the roof actually yesterday at the 3-day deal. They call it the 3-day deal. Really rough up there. And I have Ricardo. He's my composition roofer. I've used them quite a bit in the past, and we got up on top of the roof, and it's pretty rough. And I'm actually doing something I don't normally do. Normally I'd like to, I have to replace the fascia in some spots, but right now things are so busy in this town that he's able to tear my roof off. That means scrape all the debris, all the composition, the old composition roofing off. You can roof over old roofing if you want sometimes. I don't really like doing it. I've done it before, but I don't really like doing it. But I'm scraping all this off clean. I got so much plywood underneath that probably needs to be replaced, so we'll be replacing plywood. So I expect tomorrow I'll be on the roof and you'll see some of the rotten plywood, but he's actually jumping on the roof before I'm quite ready for him. But if I don't have him do it today or tomorrow, in this case, he may not be able to get around to it for a week or two. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun, and I'm not exactly where I'm going to be. It's going to give me a little bit of extra work that I don't want to do. Normally I just get it all done, but sometimes you got to weigh those things out, It's better to be organized, have everybody come in right when they should. But once in a while, you might have to bend the rules. And I'm doing it this way because I don't want to lose 2 weeks. So he'll come in, what we call a dry-in. If you don't know what dry-in means, that's when you have a roof all stripped and it's like a brand new roof, it's just plywood on top. To dry it in means to roll that tar paper, and they tack it down with a stapler, and they run their metal trim all the way around the roof. That's considered dried in, meaning if it rains, it's not going to leak. It's not a permanent solution. It's what goes underneath the composition shingles, but that's considered dried in. So I'll have it all dried in tomorrow, and then we'll be putting up fascia, and we'll probably be kind of moving some of his work out of the way, and then getting our fascia in, and then redoing his work a little bit. That's what I mean by I'm kind of having to do a little extra work because I'm jumping the gun getting in here, but I kind of have to. So that's what's happening tomorrow. It'll be kind of interesting. Hopefully everything will go well. They should have a roll-off dumpster. That's typically what we do, is have a roll-off dumpster in the driveway, and then they just scrape everything off the roof and wheelbarrow it to the side and just dump it into the dumpster till everything's stripped off. Rip off the old rotten plywood, etc. That all goes in the dumpster as well. So that's what's happening tomorrow. The lake house is pretty cool. Actually took my boys out there and their buddy, and we all floated in inner tubes. Took inner tubes out there, and the water's beautiful, super clear, super clean, super perfect. And so that was a blast to sit out in 100-degree heat and cool off in that lake. And so on the lake, like I say, I estimate, I think I might make $200,000 on that deal. To be honest, I thought it was going to be 100, but really it looks like it's going to be selling into the mid threes, and I'll probably only have 130, 140 in it, probably 145, I guess. So there's probably make about 200,000 on that deal, but there's no reason for me to sell it any sooner than a year, because if I sell it before a year's up, I'm going to end up paying 15% more tax, which would cost me a little over $30,000 on my profit. Where if I wait a year, I'll pay $30,000 less in taxes. So my holding cost on this property are not very much. It might cost me, I don't know, $500 a month or something. So it'll cost me $6,000 if I wait a year to sell it, but I'll get it back because I'll be paying $30,000 less in taxes. So in the end, it's a net $24,000 gain for me if I just go ahead and hold it. Now, of course, the market could go down a little bit, but you know what? I'm not too worried about that right now. If I see that happening, I can always sell it off. Capital gains. Yeah, I'll talk to you a little bit about that. So that's kind of what I am talking about right now. So I'm going to hold it for those reasons he's talking about. It's capital gains. You have short-term capital gains and long-term capital gains, and I'm actually not 100% up on it because dang Obama stuff, which I'm not a fan of. They got us paying, I think, 5% of our profit now, or 4% of our profit on to Obamacare now, which I'm not happy about at all, because we already pay enough. So like on $100,000, let's say I made $100,000. So now I got to pay, if I bought it today and sold it tomorrow, made $100,000, I'm going to pay, I think, $30,000 in capital gains, and then I think another $4,000 to Obamacare. And so I'm not happy at all about having to pay $35,000. So instead what'll happen is I'll wait a year, and then instead of paying 30%, it'll drop down to 15%, and I'll pay 15%. instead of the 30, and I'll save $15,000. And hopefully the Obamacare tax won't be on there anymore, because that's looking like that may go away too. And with that being gone, then like again, so I may even save that too, I hope. But yeah, you'll find out. It's funny, there's a joke that just about nobody's conservative until they buy a house. Once you buy a house, you become a conservative because you get killed on taxes, and you get a very quick picture of how the government works and how the taxing authorities work, and when you start counting up all the ways you get hit with so many different taxes in so many different ways, you start to resent it a lot. In fact, I'll give you an idea. This is what I do. I'm a numbers guy, right? So I think in numbers all the time. Everything's numbers to me all the time. So, but when I walk down the street, and if I got a house that, say, one of my rentals that's worth $300,000, and I'm paying, say $9,000 a year tax on that one house. What I do is I look at this street that's in front of this house, this 100 feet, and I'm thinking, that's only about $15,000 worth of asphalt, and it's already been there for 35, 40 years. I mean, that strip of asphalt was paid for the first time the taxes were paid that first year on that property, 35, 40 years ago, when it was probably $1,500 a year or something. And because it's terrible, because some of my properties, like I say, I'm paying $9,000 a year taxes on a property that's worth $300,000 that only brings in maybe $2,000 a month. And so just do the math on that. So let's see, 7, 8, yeah, so about roughly $780 a month taxes on my coming out of my $2,000 a month rent. I mean, that's a hell of a chunk. That's a hell of a chunk for and then you think about that money. What do they do with this $9,000? I mean, the street improvements are there, and that's usually kind of the biggest expenses, the street and the sewer and all those other things. Well, that's done and paid for many times over. And now, like I say, so anyways, you should always fight to keep your taxes reduced. Always, always. There's some states that they, like California, they won't raise it more than, I think, 1 or 2% a year than what you paid for it. Then you got other places, Texas and I think New Jersey and some places. I mean, they reassess that property every single year. You're fighting them to beat it down and make it reasonable. And so that's something you definitely want to keep an eye on. But I don't know if is anybody else got any questions, capital gains or anything? Anything. Ask me anything you want, and I'll do my best. Yeah. Okay. So Justin, I think I covered your question. So, on the and this is one of the reasons. Okay, so talk about houses. I am not a fan of buying and holding houses. I am not. If it's a really fast jumping up economy, maybe hold on. If you feel good and you're watching the market. But as soon as you see it start to falter, then dump it. Because houses do go down. I saw a place in California, I've seen houses sell for $35,000, jump up to being, closer to 60, 70, 80,000. Pretty soon it was worth $240,000, all in about 18 months. And then the bottom fell out again, and it dropped back down to being worth about, 70, 80 grand. So that's the problem with houses. Housing values, they're emotionally driven. In other words, the reason the values go up don't have any basis on income. I like things that the value goes up on them based on the income, the rate of return. So if a property is, let's just say it's a 10 cap, that makes the value of the property a 10% return. Whatever a 10% return is kind of what you base the values on. If it brings in $10,000 a year, it's worth $100 grand. Okay, that would be like a 10 cap, or well, with a house, none of that comes into play. With the house, they don't care what the rate of return is. And see, like if you're buying apartments or commercial buildings and office stuff that I buy, I look at what is the return on my investment. That's what determines the value. And we'll just say 10% for round numbers. If it brings in 10%, or if it brings in $100,000 a year, income, profit, to me it's worth $1 million. And a lot of people will take less than that, but to me it's worth $1 million. So, but with a house, $1 million house might only rent for $3,000 or $4,000 a month. It's only bringing in, less than 4% a year, because people don't buy based on the rental income on a house. They buy on emotion. I want to live here. I like the schools. I want my kids to go to school. I like the neighbors here. It's next to my mom or my dad or my brother or my sister. I want to live here. Emotional things drive the values, because people will pay whatever they can afford. In fact, with houses particularly, people are not really how much. They're like, how much a month? And they don't even care what the cost is. They just care if they can make that monthly payment. And then that's why we got into so much trouble here back in 2004, is because the interest rates dropped so drastically in 2004, 2006, that everybody still had this how much a month. And well, now the interest rates dropped so much that a place that they'd be willing to pay $1,000 or $2,000 a month, well, now $2,000 a month, say, used to buy a $200,000 home. Well, now $2,000 a month will buy a $400,000 home. So that gives everybody an opportunity that owns that $200,000 home to raise it up to $400,000, because people just look at, I want to live here. I can pay $2,000 a month. Well, now you can borrow $400,000 for $2,000 a month, where you used to only buy $200,000, and that's what would keep the value down to $200,000 in that area. So, anyways, but with the commercial and office and that sort of thing, it's all based on the rate of return, and that's why you don't get these giant, real upswings. You'll notice housing market is what the values go up really fast, really high, really quick. In fact, I think in New York right now, in Manhattan area, it's $2.5 million is the average cost for an apartment. That whether it's a studio or a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, that's what it is there now, and it didn't used to be near that. But anyway, so let's see what else you got back here. I'm reading the questions, folks. New Jersey market. I know our taxes aren't great, and neither is ROI with real property. Yeah. Well, New Jersey, it's my understanding you're very similar to Texas. It's like 3+%. In fact, I think somewhere else I just saw in the news the other day, it was like 4.5%. It's horrible, man. I don't know where that was. It was back east though. It's terrible. Yeah, it's actually, it was in the news because they overruled the governor's veto. Governor didn't want to tax the hell out of everybody, so they overruled them, and they're going to tax the hell out of everybody is what they're going to do. But, so let's see. Do you recommend using a business credit card for a down payment? I'm an interest guy. I don't care where the money comes from, as long as it's reasonable. I've borrowed money in business. I have lines of credit. Basically, I'm broke. I'll say I'm broke, okay? But that doesn't mean I can't grab $300,000 or $500,000 off a line of credit. And I don't care if it's a business line of credit, or I'll get the money. If there's a super deal in front of me, I'll just go borrow the money and I'll buy it. I'm not stuck with any high. When you say business credit card, I just don't know what that means exactly. I know what you mean, but I don't care if it's my personal credit card, or I don't use credit card money anyways, to be honest, to buy property. But I've been in that situation, I guess, where I've borrowed on a credit card to buy stuff that I want, and but in general, I'll borrow money on a credit card or whatever I have to, if it's a great enough value that I can justify borrowing the money, on a credit card or whatever. So it doesn't matter where the money comes from, as long as you're going to make money on your money, and you just got to do the math and make sure you did your due diligence, and for sure what the values are, because that's where people get in trouble, is they sometimes don't know what values are, and they just want to do something. And even I tell you, my dad's passed several years ago. My dad was one of these guys that would just procrastinate. He really was super great man, super smart, very loving, very good, but not he wasn't a businessman. He really wasn't. He was just a great guy, really good guy. But him and my stepmom, she wanted to make an investment, and my dad kind of did, but my dad would kick the tires forever. And they had something. It was some really some sleazy car wash guys where they were like to build a car. It was a scam. It was a scam. Well, they pressured him for a $20,000 investment, and they came to the house to hit my mom up for it. My dad was at work, and they made her feel like, well, are you going to do it or not? And so she's tired of waiting on my dad, and so she said, oh yeah, let's just do it. She wrote a check for $20,000, gave it to him. It was called Encino Elite. Remember this. They're probably never going to be using the same name again, but these dirt bags was called Encino Elite. This is more than 20 years ago, probably 30 years ago. But they ran this scam, and they took hard-earned money from older people, particularly. They stole it from my folks, because I remember I was trying to track them down, but I never did find them. But anyways, Encino Elite, that was the name of that scam 30 years ago. Encino Elite Car Wash. It was a California deal. So so, like I said, money, you should always try to get money arranged as cheaply as you possibly can. And I've got some decent resources myself where I can get, I've got like the lake house. And when I bought the lake house, I don't know if I even told you guys this. When I went to buy that lake house, the same outfit where one of the lawyers works in there, they know I'm good for it. They loaned me money before. They loaned me, I went in to get borrow $100,000 from a private individual, and they said, oh, do you need money, Tom? I said, well, yeah, I'll borrow more money. It was at Starbucks. I ran into him. He says, how much you need? I said, well, man, I'll take $700,000 if you got it. He said, well, I don't think I got that much. And then he said, let me check. And so I had him write up a note to loan me $100,000. And he says, well, I think we can loan you $5,000. I said, well, and I'll take that too. So I was going back there at noon, and originally it was just to go get $100,000. Well, I go in there, and he's got another $500,000 for me to borrow at 4% interest, and I took it, and just bought some more property with it. And I was going to borrow it from a bank, but I didn't have to I didn't have to go through any of the BS. I didn't have to, pay any points and have, when you borrow money against real estate, you got to get a new title policy. And there's points they charge you. There's things. And I've got real great standing, and I'm what you would call, they would refer to me as like a high net worth individual. So I kind of get better rates, and I get certain things because they know I'm not as much of a risk as some folks. But this was zero. This was no points, nothing. Here's a check. Well, so I'd already paid that note down that I borrowed $500,000. I already paid it down about $150,000 from the 18 months or so ago that I borrowed it. So I was using his title company anyways for the lake house, and I said, hey, you got any money laying around you want to loan? He goes, no, I don't really have any more right now. And then he goes, well, wait a minute. He goes, I only got about 100. I said, well, I only need 80. And he goes, sure, I'll loan it. So he loaned me another $80,000. That was basically the money I paid back on the $500,000. But he loaned that money back to me, and so I bought, and I hadn't even told you guys this yet, the lake house that I bought, I got it 100% financed. I paid $80,000 for it, and I borrowed $80,000 to buy it. So, I might have had $2,500 out of my pocket or something. But, anyways, kind of got off point there. What were we talking about? Let me see who else is there. Hey, Joe. Great. Joe Schmo. Thanks. Glad you're here. And you're on a mini vacation. Glad to hear it, man. I'm done with mine, and now I'm back to work. Do you recommend hiring a mentor for a complete beginner interested in real estate? Okay, it's a good question. Let me put it this way. I've never had a mentor. My mentors have kind of been in the form of doing, to be honest. My first owner finance deal came from me looking at property to rent and buy with a real estate agent, and he said, you want to buy it? I'm like, how, if you haven't seen that story, watch one of my first videos, my first investment at 19 years old. That'll tell you. Where basically the agent introduced me to owner financing, that they could owner finance. And so so a lot of everything I know pretty much that I show you guys, it's from doing. I've just done so much, and even myself, I'll remember. Oh yeah, I remember something that's very unique, and so I'll share it. But back to your question, you know what? I used to think having a physical trainer, was kind of a joke. I'd laugh, I'd make fun of my friends. I said, oh, you got your cheerleader there, clapping for you when you do a push-up, and I'd make fun of. And then, I was getting older, and I'm trying to stay young because I got young kids, and so I was getting tougher in my 40s, and so I said, the hell with it, and I hired a trainer. Well, a trainer shows up at my house 5:15 in the morning, and we go run, 5 miles and do some push-ups and, lift some weights and stuff like that. And I can guarantee you, I wouldn't run those, 4.5 miles a day, 3 days a week, as consistently if I didn't have a trainer. So it's not really a mentor, but it's kind of a mentor. It's somebody that you're accountable to. So that's kind of one of the key things, but you gotta want it, and I always say that you gotta want it. And I see a lot of mentorship offered out there. I don't know enough about it. I like Flipman. I've talked to him. I like the guy, and I think he's reasonable. I don't even know exactly what he charges, but I can tell you that I think he's got some value. And he does a show on every. It's flipman.net. You can go to youtube.com, flipman.net. And see what he does. Monoperty, he's out of the UK. If you got any UK folks watching, he likes to share too, and he's still kind of at the beginning stages. But he's making it happen. He's doing it, and he's learning, and he's sharing. Now, so for a mentor, like I said, I wrote a book. I actually kind of wrote a book too, but that's not anything I'm doing anything with. But Dave Delgado wrote a book, Wade Cook wrote a book, Albert Lowry wrote a book, and Creating Wealth and different books like that. Anything that gives you motivation is good. Anything that makes you want it is good. That's what you need. You need to have drive, and you need to have motivation. And, I read like As a Man Thinketh. That's one of my favorite books. And it's really nothing about real estate. It's more just about, you kind of reap what you sow kind of thing. And, you want to grow weeds, grow weeds. You want to grow, vegetables, something that produce, you can do that too. So, but yeah, I say you got free mentoring, really. You got free mentoring here with me. Now, I can guarantee you, I think there's enough information with what I share with you that you can go do something. I really do. Because you can't, every deal isn't just that cookie cutter. You know what I mean? Anybody can buy a property. But I've already told you, you got to just be relentless in calling on every single opportunity that comes before you, and open your eyes. And when you see a dilapidated property, or you'll get a keen eye. You'll just spot stuff that other people will not. But you just have to always work it. And because you're always working and you're calling on every property that comes available, you're going to have an opportunity that other people don't get, because you're going to be the first one there. And that's what's so important, is you got to be the first one there, or you got to be second. I've made a lot of money by being second, but I was second in that I was just standing there waiting to pounce when number one made a mistake, and that does happen too. And mentoring, like I say, nobody, because I hear people say, Tom, man, I wish you could be my mentor, but I can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. All I can do is give you some guidance, and I can show you how I've done it, and just give it to you from the heart, and share you, what I'm doing day to day and what I've done in the past. And because I totally relate, believe me, I remember being completely broke, zero, didn't own anything, and I built it slowly. And like I tell you, it's like a big heavy cart, man. You start making a lot of money, and it's like a big heavy cart, man. You get it rolling, it's hard to stop. Pretty soon you got income coming in, and you go, what do I do with this money? You buy more property, And it's a great place to be, and I want everybody watching to be in that situation. And but it really, it's like I've told you guys before, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I didn't coin that phrase, but it's one I like. The harder I work, the luckier I get, and that's truly pretty much how it is. Anyhow, kind of got off track there on the mentoring, but like I tell you guys, I read books, and I'm happy if I get one paragraph out of one of the chapters that turns me on, and I'll go back and I'll just read that one paragraph over a couple times, or that chapter maybe. But rarely is a book front to back totally entertaining to me, or I know so much. I know this. Whoa, here's something new, or that gives me an idea. That's what you want. Is you want things that spur ideas, and that's why I tell you, I've done so many different things and had so many creative ways of buying stuff that they're not even worth explaining. Some of them are just because who would think I'd get a 6-month escrow on something? Who would think that I could borrow 100% on a purchase that I just had? Most people would think, who would think that you go look for somebody to flip a property to and make 20 grand, or take a finder's fee as a bird dogger? These are things that when they happen, I was like, I never thought of that. I sold a company. I had a business. I sold a business at a cabinet shop, and I sold my business through a business broker. I didn't even think, I was thinking about closing the company and selling the tools off. I saw the front page of a newspaper, and it was T.C. Williams, business broker. And I see this T.C. Williams, and I thought, oh, sell the business? I never even thought of that. And so I called him and told him, I got about, it's been 10 years I've been in business. I'd already made $1 million in real estate. And a friend of mine actually said, Tom, he goes, you're sick of this cabinet business. Why are you doing it? He goes, I know all the property you own. Do you really even need to do it? And I started adding it up, and I said, yeah, I'm a millionaire here on paper. And yeah, I can live without this income from my cabinet shop. I'd already, had an income coming in, buying property, had money coming in, buying property with income that was coming in. And so I realized, I don't need this cabinet shop anymore. So I sold the company, and I sold it through a business broker. But I might have just closed up and sold the tools for 60 grand or something, or 60 cents or 30 cents on the dollar. But instead, I read about this business broker, and I have a viable business that makes money. I can sell that, and that's a funny story in itself. I'll tell you a little bit about that too. So I called T.C. Williams, old black gentleman. I couldn't tell you how old he was. I just think he was old for a number of reasons. But he says, all right, let's list it. So I list it for $250,000. I want $100,000 down, and I say, TC, I said, I don't want you bringing anybody here unless you know they got the money and they can buy it, etc. He says, okay. And so he calls me. He says, I got 3 people that want to come look at your property. And I said, did you make sure they all have $100,000 in the bank? And he calls me back. He goes, let me call you back. And so then about 5 minutes later, he calls me back. He goes, I got 2 people that I want to show the property to. I said, okay. And I said, you did. You for sure double checked, and you made sure. You verified that they have the money in the bank. And he goes, hang on, let me call you back. He calls me back 5 minutes later, and he says, I got 1 person. And so he brought that 1 person over. They had the money. They inherited. This guy's wife had inherited about $500,000. They bought a brand new house for $400,000. They had an extra $100,000 or so, and they wanted to buy it. We made a deal right there. First person I showed it to sold it, and that was it. It was done. I was done. But I would never have thought about a business broker had I not opened up and been, I just read the front of the paper. I really didn't dig to find this out. It was just I read the front of the paper. And that's why it pays for you to watch this video, watch other videos. Other people that turn you on, that excite you about real estate or investing, making money. Gravitate toward that stuff. Give it time. But if I've heard that, that's fine, and sometimes you got to listen to stuff you've heard before to get to something new. and I know a lot of people are very frustrated, and it's always hard. I always say, you can't necessarily trust every realtor you talk to because they're going to get a commission. I say, don't trust anybody that gets a commission from you, right? And so it's the same as people that sell courses and programs, and you know what I mean? Not all, but the fact is, if somebody stands to gain by you buying something, they may, for the sake of profit, mislead you, or so I don't know. In fact, talking about that, I know this Montalegro guy. I haven't heard very many good things about this guy. I've never watched his show or anything else, but I do know people are going to these seminars, and it's my understanding they're saying, hey, come to the free seminar. Well, the free seminar turns into, hey, here's a cup of coffee and here's some snacks, but if you really want to make the real money, it's going to cost you a few $1,000s, and it's going to cost you $40,000. Listen, never pay anybody $40,000, $20,000, $30,000, $10,000. Don't pay anybody that kind of money for mentoring. If somebody came to me and said, Tom, I've got $30,000, $40,000. Can I give it to you to mentor me? You know what? I wouldn't take it. I could take it, but I already know I can't make it happen for you. I would say, man, you got seed capital. You got 30 grand, 40 grand, whatever, 10 grand. Turn that, just follow my videos and just do that. You got to get out there and make things happen. But when mentorship is leading into, $10,000-$20,000, I'm telling you, you don't need it. You don't need that much mentoring anyways. But this idea that they're gonna, give us 40 grand and then we'll be your partners. I don't buy it. Listen, I'm a savvy investor. I don't buy it. I wouldn't do it. So that's what I got to say about that. Let's see what else we got. What are my thoughts on zero down investing, seller financing? Are those sellers hard to come by? Okay, well, if you were here earlier, you know that I just did a 100% finance deal, but it really had nothing to do with the sellers. It had to do with my financiers. If you get a property that's worth double what you're paying for it, you won't have any problem getting 100% financing. You can go get a partner, or you can flip it to somebody. You know what I mean? Or somebody will say, yeah, it's worth $1 million. I'll loan you $500,000, no problem. There's private investors that can do that. That's easy. I always say, worry deals, don't worry money. And that's one of my videos. Worry deals, don't worry money, because money's easy to find. Deals are hard to find. Deals are what you need to learn how to do, and that's what I try to share with you and how to get those deals. So let's see. I'm new to all this. Where do I start? Start with the first video. I can't even read your name. The artistic, or I can't read it. Anyways, whoever wrote that, start with my first video and just start watching them all. And some of them will bore you probably. I don't know, but there's usually something in there for everybody. Look at the ones where I talk about making profits and deals. And I know a lot of these guys, folks that are watching right now, you've already seen me make 2 deals, and I'll probably make about 300 grand between just those 2 houses. And I know these are really pretty darn good deals. That lake house was an absolute knockout. Do I believe in trade secrets? Yeah, I'm giving them to you, Khalid. These are trade secrets. I'm giving you my trade secrets, okay? I'm sharing stuff with you, how I find the deals. And it's funny, I've read a lot of business psychology books like Jack Welch, and there's people that wrote, good businessmen that have written great books, and people say, well, why would they share their tools and their experience? Listen, if you're already got all the money you're ever going to need, and you kind of get to a point where it's your legacy. You want a legacy of being somebody that's nice and sharing, or do you want to I don't think you want to go to your grave going, if I'd have just worked one more day, or if I'd have just made one more dollar. I'm not that guy. But I think I'd like to go to my grave going, I tried to help people, and I don't think these guys that have made millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, I don't think they're any different than me or anybody else, that have made more or less than me. And it's the guy that writes a book, he's sharing information, and that's really cool. But I don't buy the guy that says, and you can buy a course that costs a few $100. You know what? I've done it. I'd say that's fine. But the idea of buying a course that is like a marriage that you pay and pay and pay, and I'm not saying if you need a mentor and you want to pay $100 or a couple $100 a month or something, maybe it's worth it, because if they'll kind of hold your hand through some of the deals or help you write a contract, that's worthwhile. That's they're earning their money if they do that. I'm trying to look at questions here. I don't even want to do that, of course, but I will give you all the information that I'm giving you in these videos. I'll give you that for free. I'm not interested in making any money off anybody that's watching here. All I want to do is I just share my lifestyle and help you get the things that you want to get. And I know that I was fortunate enough to learn what I know early, and I practice what I preach, and I try to show you guys what I'm doing while I'm doing it. It's been kind of fun blog. I think I've been doing this 5 months here, sharing with folks, and I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it. In fact, I'm actually working on an app that I'm gonna give to all the subscribers. Anybody that subscribes to my YouTube channel, you'll be in for a treat eventually. I'm gonna give you something that you're gonna really like. It's gonna be really cool, and it won't cost you nothing. So okay, what else here? What types of questions do you ask sellers when you call them? Yeah, okay. So you must be new here, Fasha Zane, or I can't remember how to say her name. I can barely read it. Listen, you get to the point. How much you want? What do you want for this? It's how much. Always how much. And I always try to let the seller make the offer, because they may offer a better deal than I'm going to offer. So sometimes keeping your mouth shut really is a good thing. You keep your mouth shut and you'll find out. You got to say, how much do you want? And they may ask for a price that is like right in line with getting it for 30-40% off of what you think it's worth. And you just say, it's a deal. And let's write a contract. Write that contract. Give them a deposit check for $200-300. Now, I know some people say, hey, I want to flip property with nothing down and no money out of my pocket. And listen, I've never really done that. I've always been able to scrape up a few $100 for a deposit, and that's how I do it. I know there's some creative stuff out there, and but you know what? That's not for me. If you're gonna follow my lead, you're gonna have to be able to scrape up a couple $100, get it from mom or dad or your brother or whatever. But you're gonna need a deposit. Money talks. In fact, I always say, when I'm trying to steal a property away from somebody else that I'm fighting one over, I always say, test sincerity with the wallet. And I'm not a good guy to go against if you're a nothing down guy or you're a little bit weak on money, because I'll take it from you. Because I'm very, I'm like, hey, do they have the money? Can they produce? I'll write you a check right now. I'll pay cash for it. I'll give you cash in 3 days. And because I can do it. So I can blow people out of the water that are there at the same time with me that are weaker financially. And that's what you fear. I know that. But I've been the guy that didn't have any money before too, and I just say, I'll take it. I write a check. Maybe that check's not even any good, but it's for the deposit. And then I go cover the check and make sure it is good. And because I want to tie it up, because I want to get it, I'm going to make some money. I know what values are. So that's what I do. So let's see what else we got here. My favorite way to find deals. Well, like I say, I follow every single lead, okay? I follow every single lead, every sign I can. And then sometimes the thing that I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to make a deal. This is great. And then rug gets pulled out from under me, gone. I'm not getting it. And then the one that I just called on, and then I go look at it, and then all of a sudden I got a pen and paper in my face. Let's sign, let's make a deal. And I'm like, okay, I can't believe it. Sometimes they just fall into your lap. But did it really fall into my lap? If I called on 100 properties, and just because one was very easy, did it really fall into my lap? I did call on and follow up on 100 properties. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like they'll talk about, musicians and celebrities, and they're like, oh man, he was an overnight success. Well, they've been trying for 8 years. Then they got their break, and they all of a sudden you know who they are, but they've been working their ass off for 10 years. It's the same thing. The sad part is, I can tell you, you have to work hard, but it's not like working hard like working your whole life, for wages. That's hard. That's really hard. And that's why I wrote at my little video the other day, I wrote how I can't afford to not invest. And that's me. I cannot afford to not invest, because it's by investing that I make these big chunks of money. And those are the ones that are going to put the kids through college and, going to take care of me when I'm old and weak and tired, so, it's work. You got to be diligent, and you got to do it all the time. Do I have a strategy before I contact a property, or get the deal first, then figure it out? Flip, wholesale, buy, etc. Yeah. I mean, my strategy is simple. It's, everything I look at, I know values. I study properties in my immediate neighborhood. I study property around my work, because those are the two places that I drive around the most, and anywhere in between. Now, I do know commercial property in general. It could be 10 miles away. I don't have to look at it. Like Lake House I bought, it was a no-brainer. I told the agent as soon as I was talking to him, I said, I'll take it, I'll buy it, no problem, write it up, I'll buy it. And then I drove out and looked at it. I have bought properties without ever going inside of them, bought them, closed them, walked into them after I bought them. Odd circumstances like that, but I've bought 2 or 3 that way in my lifetime. So the main thing is that you buy it under market. You buy it under market. Do I have a step-by-step video? Buying right in the... Yeah, I think I kind of got it covered mostly. Yeah, believe me, if you want it dumbed down, I don't think I can dumb it down any more than this, because you don't... It's called paralysis by analysis. You may be paralyzed by analysis and fear. Most people are. A lot of people are. So what I would suggest to you is just start with my very first video and start watching that. I talk about how to write a contract. I know I need to probably do that more. I think I actually kind of have to talk about everything I've talked about over and over again. And that's fine. I'm the same way. I mean, when I have a subject that I'm interested in, I read about it all the time. And I kind of, in things I'm covering right now, some of you I know, Khalid, and some of you folks, I know you've heard me talk about a lot of this before. In fact, I like it when somebody will ask some of these questions like you're asking right now, and the people that have been following me answer the questions. And I like it when people answer my questions in comments, and they're right, because they're listening. It means you're listening. And so that's always good. Yeah, okay, do I look at... Yeah, I'll look at Zillow. I like your questions. So look, yeah, do I use Zillow as one form of reference? I'll give you an example. I had somebody say, hey, I got a property, I think it's a great deal, and I got it, for $25,000 under market, and I said, well, I'll look at it. It was in another state. I didn't even, I thought, yeah, maybe I'll do it. I thought maybe I was going to kind of do it for you guys. I was just going to go in there and buy it out of state, flip it, make 20 grand or something. But I went to Zillow and I looked it up. And sure enough, it was about $25,000, $30,000 under market. Sounds pretty good on a property that only cost, 100 grand or 125,000. The average house in the neighborhood was 125,000. This was for less than 100,000. So I figured, yeah, I can flip it for 10 under market and make 25. But there's a catch. What I saw when I looked at this property, I go, wow, there's a lot of properties around this that appear to be for sale. And I found out from Zillow, they were nearly every property on this map that was, maybe a square mile or so, every property except the one that I could buy was a foreclosure. Something was wrong in that area. A plant closed or something. Everything had gone back to the bank. Now, do I want to buy a property for $25,000 under market in a neighborhood of other properties that are owned by the bank The bank can afford to sell those properties for $50,000 under market. I'm not going to buy in a foreclosed neighborhood that is like a, nearly every property for sale is in foreclosure, because I'm buying trouble. I'm buying somebody else's problem. The bank can do what's called a short sale, and they will do it. They can sell those foreclosed homes for half of what they financed them for, just to get them off their books. And so I do not want to compete with that, and that's why I did not make a deal or do anything in that particular area. So comps don't always tell the whole story, and that's my point. Comps don't tell the whole story, but Zillow is an excellent reference to look at. It on average, it kind of keeps up with the values of property. I'd say, from what I've seen, it usually lags behind just a little bit, which is good. You want to have a very conservative approach. But so I will look at Zillow and go, okay, yeah, shoot, on the surface, so let's say I got a deal I haven't looked at yet, and I can buy it for $150,000, and I go in and I see that everything else around it's $250, everything about the same size as it is $250. It's like, yeah, this looks good, I'll take it. Then I go look at it, and then I go there and I'm like, oh yeah, it's torn up a little bit or whatever, and everything's the same. But it's like, I'm glad I told the agent I'd take it. Glad I told him to write it up. Now I'm looked at the house real quick. Maybe didn't go inside, just looked in the windows. Now I'm running over to his house or her house to sign the deal and buy it. I don't have to go inside and look at it. I looked in the windows. I already know. It's got a kitchen. It's got a bathroom. It's got floors I'm going to maybe have to replace or something. No big deal. I already know what that stuff costs. It's not hard to figure out. So the bottom line is, I buy everything. I buy commercial, office. I like commercial and office. Most of the commercial and office stuff that I buy, I keep. I hold it. I do flip some of it, but most of it I just keep. I flipped a little place. It's almost a rock's throw from here. I bought it for 110, I think, and I sold it for 280 in 3 months. And I could have sold it in 3 weeks. I didn't want it. I was going to keep it and rent it, but nobody was renting it from me. And the guy that wanted to buy it, he was actually my old sign guy. He used to make my signs. He begged me. He said, "You must sell this to me. You must sell it." He called me every day, and I was fine. Well, damn it, nobody's buying it, or nobody's renting it, so I'll sell it to you. And I did. I sold it, and I made a nice big fat profit in a very short time, and I was happy for it too. It was a nice chunk of money. So yeah, no, my step-by-step stuff. The Aztec Addict, or whatever that name is. Sorry. This is it. This is it. Just start with my first video and watch till you get to here, and or wherever my newest video is, and you'll hear some stuff a little bit repetitive, but really, I mean, so many deals. I don't think I've ever had to repeat too many things in all these videos that I've done so far. But it's good. Redundancy is good. It really is good. And like I say, even I even watch my own videos, because sometimes people want to be referred to a video, and one moment. What?
I'm gonna go to Jonah's if you want to go.
Okay, honey, I'm gonna wrap up here, and I'll call you, or give me 5 minutes, okay? All right. So I got my daughter just got back here from Prague, and she's gonna be flying back to her college. So I'm gonna have to cut it pretty soon. How long have we been on? We're just about at the hour mark point anyhow, which is always a good nice round number, right? 1 hour. So I just bought 5 minutes, so let me see if I can wrap this up. What signs do I use? No, I don't use. Yeah. Maurice, just start watching my videos. I don't use bandit signs. I never have. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You can do whatever you want to do. Listen, there are so many ways to make money in real estate. What you'll learn from me is that and I say this a lot. I say there are no rules. That's the beauty of real estate. There really are no rules for buying it. You can get as creative and crazy as you can work out with the person selling you the property or the person that's buying the property from you. You can carry a note. You can not carry a note. You can have a balloon payment in 1 year, 6 months, 10 years. You can do whatever you want. There's all kinds of stuff like that. And a lot of times, you get somebody to owner finance. If they say, well, I might want the money in 3 years, and I say, okay, well, let's owner finance it, and we'll just have a balloon payment. I'll pay the whole thing off in 3 years, and then at the end of that 3 years, or maybe a couple months before that time's up, I'll give them a call and I'll say, hey, You said you wanted to get paid off. You still want to get paid off? And they'll say, sometimes they'll say, not every time, but sometimes they'll say, you know what? I like the money coming in. How about can we do this for 10 years? It's like, sure. Then I rewrite the note. He signs it, I sign it. And now we just turned a 3-year note into a 10-year note. And so that's what you should come away with from me is, it's just like if you're a carpenter. A carpenter, you learn how to read a tape, but you never learn every problem. Problems are presented to you as a carpenter that you've never seen before, but you've got knowledge, right? Because you've cut so many miters, you've built so many things, or you've dealt with so many different situations. You go, okay, now this is a different situation. In fact, I got a little, and I'm a carpenter too. So you'll come across something and you'll scratch your head and you'll be going, oh, how am I going to do this? And then you start thinking about it, and then you go, oh yeah, I know how I'm going to, and then you figure it out. Well, that's kind of like this. It'd be no different if I was teaching you carpentry, and it's like, okay, now you know how to frame a house. You know how to set joists and rafters and trusses on a roof, and I teach you all that, show you how to do all that. And then one day you come across a problem, and because basically in your mind how you fix similar structures, you're going to know how to handle that particular problem, and you're going to do it however you do it. And so that's kind of what you're going to come away with me is just trust yourself. Okay, number one, you got to know values. If you know values, you'll it's all basic. You can know values, you'll buy something, you'll get it under contract, under market. You'll either flip it, or you'll either find somebody to help you buy it, or whatever. You'll make money on it, and then pretty soon you'll have a chunk of money and you'll be buying stuff on your own. But you just never know what you're going to run into. There's different special circumstances that come up that will give you certain extra opportunities, and sometimes you'll have, like, I'll give you one of my most profitable properties I ever bought. I bought it from like 5 people. I had 5 sisters. One of them was dead. The other 4 kind of pretty much hated each other and didn't talk. Now that was a challenge. I had to get signatures from all 4 of these girls, and some of them didn't want to sell, others wanted to sell, and you know what I mean? It was a whole new problem, but I got through it, and I made it, and I bought it, and man, it was a lot of work, but you know what? It was a hell of a deal. I held it for quite a while, and I made a lot of money. But that's what you got to do, is trust yourself. You just got to get, you got to understand values, so you know a deal when you see one. But when you've done, you'll do owner finance deals. You'll do just all kinds of crazy deals that'll happen in your lifetime. And with each one, you'll be able to reflect on it. Just like I reflect on it and share it in my videos. You'll be handed a situation, and you'll think of a way to make it happen. You'll know that there are no rules. You make the rules, and you can just write up your contract with whatever crazy terms that work for you and work for this person. And believe me, there's a lot of different things. Even like with the gals on that property, I made deals to buy it from 2 of them. I said, I'll buy your interest in it. Now I'm going to be a partner with the other 2 women, and I didn't care. I'd be happy to own 50% of the deal too. And so, but once I started doing that, they're like, I don't want to be partners with this stranger, or whatever's going through their head. I don't know. Ultimately, I made a deal with everybody. So those are the things that people would usually never think about doing. Maybe buying just somebody else's interest, even though there's other partners in it. Nobody taught me that. I just did it, and it worked beautifully. So, let's see, got one more question here. How can you buy a foreclosed property? Home in my area. Well, okay, crazy lotto dude, go to the tax assessor, find out who owns that property. It's either a bank or an individual. Write your letter, reach out, call, go directly to them, and find out who owns it, and then make an offer. That's how you do it. And Joe, yep, great. Hey man, glad to hear it, Joe. Hope you have a nice, restful vacation. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for watching while you're on your vacation. So, guys, I got to wrap it up. And gals, I'm fight on time. Yep. Hope you make the fight. Oh, flight on time. Oh. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here and just tell everybody thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please get on my Twitter. Being more active on that, and maybe it's something you can share out and get us more watchers. And like I said, I got an app project going. I intend to share with all of you. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate your comments and questions. And the more the merrier. So please share it out. And we'll. Let's see. We got a new guy here. I'm a realtor that's getting into wholesale. Good, man. Hey, you know what? It's always good to get into real estate. Even if you start out as an agent, you know what I mean? That's not where the big money is, but you can make some great money. But it's not a bad place to be to run into deals. So I'll say goodnight to everybody now. And yep, thanks Khalid. Thanks Nimi. And whoever else I see here. I see a few other people. I can't see that good from here. I'm looking at a little monitor. It's kind of far away. Yeah, mail campaigns are fun, but I'm wrapping it up. We'll talk about that another time. If you just got here, sorry, we've been talking an hour and I got to wrap it up. My daughter's, I got to visit her a little more. She's heading back to her college tomorrow, so we're going to go hang out. So anyways, thanks. That's it. Flip Anything USA. Please share, subscribe. Be sure to subscribe on my Twitter. Please get on there and sign up on that. And the more people watching, the better. And I'm happy to spend time. And anyways, thanks. I'm gonna say goodnight. Good night.